Hey, buddy, Blind Wave. Damn it! Blind Wave's back. I'm Aaron.
I'm Eric.
And we told you guys we were going to do it. We are going to do it. Here's our Heroes Q&A.
Begrudgingly.
I don't feel like there's too many questions, right?
There weren't a whole lot, but I think we found like 6 or 7 good ones.
Yep. So we're going to go over these ones here and see what everyone thought of this last episode of Heroes Reborn. Right, Eric? Heroes Reborn, not Heroes.
Heroes Reborn.
But I think everyone understands when we say heroes.
Mm.
All right, how about Christopher Walken? No, wait, that's not right. Christopher Washington. I just pictured Walken.
Do it by yourself.
No, come on. Remember that one time when Parkman said he wouldn't become his father? Yeah, so much for that character development. I've heard people say he's just protecting himself by working with the company. He's so powerful, he could just make Erica not be a crazy motherfucker. Yes, I'm aware that's stepping back into Papa Parkman territory, but seriously, he could have just solved everything by pushing her instead of working with her. Or maybe like Phoebe, he's buying her scorched earth narrative.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine he is, because there's no reason that he couldn't just read her mind to find any ill intent. I imagine if he's so confident with doing the stuff he's doing, which he seems to be, he has to have a reason.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed fairly level-headed back in, like, the first series.
He did. And, I mean, we do have to think about the time that we saw the future and he was working for Siler/Nathan as president, you know? And he was a bad guy at that point.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the character that we know and love from the original series turning into this without a very good reason.
Yeah. I figure that he would have a good idea of what Erica is really trying to do, too. Like, if she has any other kind of agendas within her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't believe that he just wants to be like, evils are bad.
Unless that, yes, he's buying that, or she's found a way, because we know that she uses Evos.
Yeah.
She, because this company is pretty much just Siler. But maybe she's found a way to block his powers when it comes to that stuff.
Maybe.
Possibly,
yeah, maybe she's like immune to it. Maybe she's an Evo. Somehow.
We haven't really considered her being an Evo, have we?
Yeah, maybe she has some kind of hidden power. I don't know.
Shoot deer in heels.
Let's go over to Kenny38606. This is what the Heroes Wiki says about Renee's powers.
Yeah, because we were talking about this.
He can selectively interfere with the use of special abilities and selectively erase memories. He can render individuals unconscious by physical contact.
Remember that.
While he can nullify powers out to some indeterminate range without physical contact, his other mental abilities seem to require touch. His powers do require mental effort and sufficient resistance by other evolved human of sufficient power and or skill can cause him physical and mental strain. So what's nice with him as opposed to... Well, see, I don't know how Casper worked. Could he select exactly what memories?
Absolutely, because he was able to take everything he needed to from Tommy except his mom.
Well, no. He said I need to erase it all.
He said, yeah, but he'll say the only thing he'll remember is you.
Yeah, but he couldn't just erase, like, certain things. He had to erase, like...
No, he was able to erase certain things from Noah.
Well, was that just, like, from June 13th on? You know what I mean? From,
He
like,
said-
the
he said-
explosion time?
I thought
on?
he said something like he doesn't remember anything from today. Isn't that what Parkman said?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like, he erased everything from, like... I think it's a time frame thing, right? Like, he could only target, like Noah, he targeted June 13th.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't remember anything from June 13th. Whereas Tommy, the only way to erase Hero would have been to erase his entire life, except for his mother somehow. You know what I mean? Or maybe
I don't know if it's necessarily a time thing. I mean, who else has he done? He's done the one cop. He was able to, or the one guy on the bike in the first episode. He took that guy's memory of just that.
Yeah, of that night. Right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like the entire day. It was just the kid on the bike.
Yeah, but
it was on the bike.
It could be a time frame. It could be like from.
I mean, I suppose so. I mean, I guess
it's the last hour.
I guess what you're saying is the same thing. If it's a time frame, it's like, yeah, he took these 10 seconds. You know?
No, it's different though. Like, can I have this whole day where I remember you were in that day and we did something, or do I not remember that entire day, that whole day gone? So if I spent 10 years married to this woman,
yeah,
can you make me forget that I had a kid with this woman and I still remember this woman, or those whole 10 years of me meeting her, having a kid, and making a family are all gone?
I mean, we knew that Renee could do that.
Yeah, Renee could. He could select things because he can also make you. No, he can't. Parkman can make you believe stuff.
I would say Pennyman. I don't see why he would be more limited than Renee as right now. I don't think there's. I think that the default is that we kind of like assume that it's kind of like Renee until we see otherwise. But I haven't really seen anything that would go otherwise than that.
Really?
Yeah.
the fact that what all he had to do with Tommy and some other stuff, I feel like he has to do time. Like, you don't remember anything from this time to this time. Like the one father he made leave. I feel like he made him forget his entire family and made him leave. You know what I mean?
I mean, that sounds an awful lot like selective memory.
It sounds like a time frame, right?
So he's forgotten all the years of his life that he was with his family?
Yes.
I don't know. There's really, I don't think there's any evidence of specifically that. I think it could be. I think everything that we've seen could go either way. And as of right now, I personally will default to similar to what Renee does, just through the, for some reason, through a penny.
All right, I'll stick with that. He's a timeline type of thing where, like,
from I'm sure we'll find out.
From time A to time B is what he can erase.
Right. Well, what he can't erase is that he just died.
He's gonna come back as a ghost, Eric.
I'll leave. I will. Leave.
It's a good idea.
It's a terrible idea.
It'd be awesome, wouldn't it? I'd love it. He's just like, no.
I'd rather them bring.
No,
back...
like, oh. He's like, it's okay. I'm friendly.
Don't push it, Aaron. I'd rather have what's the name of the damn game? Evernow 2. Or an expansion pack. All right, or something DLC. I'll buy $50 with DLC for it. You never say that joke again.
All right, Hard Stick Man.
Yep.
Do you think Parkman is really bad? Does he agree with what happened with Molly, if she's dead? Do you think he made Phoebe and Quentin be on Erica's side? So if you convince Parkman, you'd have all the Evos on your side.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you turn Parkman, then Parkman has all the ability to get everybody out of that place. Yeah. But the thing I like about this question that I never really thought before is Molly. Mm-hmm. Parkman helped raise Molly. Yeah, him and Mohinder were playing baby daddies. Now, if he knew that Molly was trapped in there, which I don't know how he wouldn't if he has the level that he has, he's being used so many times by this company.
Yeah.
There's got to be something we don't know when it comes to Parkman's involvement. Because there's no way in hell he would stoop that low.
I would
to allow her to be leached for her power.
Yeah, I mean,
he can't know that they're using an human. Like, he has to think that he's helping these people.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of. And he just either hasn't looked into her head, or doesn't want to, or doesn't care to, or whatever. But I just can't see... I can't see him going over that line when it came to Molly and being sucked dry to the point where she'd rather kill herself.
Yeah. He also says, couldn't Nathan just travel back in time to save Casper?
He can't control his time thing right now, can he? He lost his ability.
I don't think he knows it yet, but I think once he... I mean,
well, he knows he can.
He's going to be able to.
Well, I'm saying, he knows he can do... He knows he has Hero's powers now.
Yeah.
He used to be... Because he already did put Noah back in time and stuff.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done it yet in this new memory
set. That doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter when he learns that he can go back in time. Once he can go back in time, he could just go back and fix it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if it takes tomorrow or if it takes a year, he's like, hell, Casper, I remember him. I gotta go save him.
I think that we're going through, right now, reasons that you shouldn't do that stuff. So I bet you everybody that asks him, hey, should you go back and save Casper?
Yes.
They're gonna be like, nah.
Yes, we should.
You shouldn't.
We need to.
Renee's like, no.
I get shot again. All right, let's look over here to Billy Lawrence, who says, since Katana Girl was connected to Evernow in the same area as where Renatus was sending things to the future, could there have been a glitch in the system sending her to the future? Or perhaps was this part of her father's plan all along when creating her as a backup against Erica's plan? Mm-hmm. Either way, I dig that she's seemingly real despite being created digitally.
Yeah. The thing I like about this question is it brought to mind the idea that, okay, so she showed up in the future, right? And then we saw like that either tent or pile of goodies or whatever, mm-hmm. and that has to be the stuff that Renatus has been sending to the future.
Yeah.
And he's right in the sense that they were around like where they were doing that is exactly where she died in the game world, like that same geographical location. So, did her code or something get mixed in with the machinery that is synthesizing Hero's power?
Yeah,
and that's what sent her there.
It sent her to where they were sending all the stuff?
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Could be.
Yeah.
Now, is this just where they've been and it's just where they're... So here's what I wonder, like, they're sending everything to the future, right?
Yeah.
So as they keep sending more stuff, are they sending it to the exact same time frame? And then, like, they just have all this material that they didn't have when they first started?
So are you saying, like, two guys go with a tent?
Yeah.
Now, when they get there, are they going to have everything they will ever send already?
Yeah.
Or will they be doing it in real time from that point on?
Yeah. Or do they build as a tent, and then and then they send something else, and then all of a sudden, like, they just have a table here that they didn't have before because now they sent a table. I wonder how that's... Or they just... All right, let's send everything 10 minutes ahead of time. That way, like, I set up a tent, here's more stuff. Good. They build that up, here's more stuff.
I don't think there's any way of really knowing except the idea that if she did get, like, caught in that glitch and sent along with them, then she should theoretically have showed up around the same time everything else showed up. Yeah. So it makes sense that they're doing it in time increments, like in real time, relative to the time now. True. And then when she went, all that stuff is there, and that's accumulation of stuff.
I guess thinking about it, it wouldn't matter too much because, like, if they're all sending it to the same time, supposedly when they get there, everything the past sent, whenever they sent it, should still be there at the same time, right?
Yeah, I'm more interested why they picked specifically 7,000 some years. I have to assume that the solar flare happens. It's radiation. Radiation has a half-life. It will go away eventually, which is usually, like, I think it's longer than 7,000 years, but it's whatever.
Depends on the type of radiation.
I know, it depends. But I would imagine that if a solar flare hits the Earth and destroys it, then it would probably blow up every nuclear bomb that we have, too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's possible. I don't know. I don't know if the nuclear radiation hitting everything would just destroy and nuke everything, because, like, that's already radiated. Yeah. I don't know if it'd affect that.
But let's say that they were able to calculate, look, on this day, Earth will be good again, right?
It should be livable.
Because it was like 7,467 days, It wasn't like 7,600 years. Like, all right, 7,600 years, that's when we know. Let's make it 7,700 years, just to be sure, Why'd they go to specifically a day? It makes me wonder. Or if is it just writing being like, this would be funny. Goes over this canyon and you're like, what?
Maybe it could just be a number that's just a reference to something, too.
Yeah, that we don't get. I don't know. I thought that was kind of strange.
Maine Wilson says, Hero and Tommy's powers seem to function very differently, and not just the CGI/sound. Hero's is more passive. He thinks, blinks, and he's gone. If he has a passenger, he acts as a vehicle. He touches them to take them with him. Mm-hmm. Tommy is more of a baseball bat and has to actively lay hands to send something to its destination, even himself. Earlier on the show, I didn't really care since it appeared to be two different powers from separate origins. Now, it just seems stupid.
Yeah, so this is me talking about my one gripe with the whole it being actually Hero's power. He's exactly right in that sense. Especially when it comes to Tommy has to physically touch things. Yep. He even has to touch himself to do it. Hero does not have to do that. He can just stand there and do it, or he can touch people, or they can touch him. But Tommy's, like, his power comes, like, from his hands. Yeah. Which I mean, it's just another little tiny thing where I'm like, well, that makes me either think one, they just didn't think it through. Like they didn't know it was Hero's power when they started, like the writers, or just the directors or the visual effects artists, like somewhere along the way. I just think that,
or like they want, like, well, we don't want to do this way because then they'll know it's Hero. We want to keep it going longer. Yeah. Maybe it's something to do with his power. Maybe his power alters it somehow, or altered it somehow, or something like that.
How?
What do you mean how?
Like when Peter gets...
How does Parkman read minds?
Well, I'm saying when Peter gets somebody else's power, it's exactly the same power.
Okay. This isn't Peter's power, though.
Yes, it's a shittier version.
What?
He's a Petrelli. They use that power.
We don't know all of his power.
Every time we've seen anybody...
Also, Peter's dad had to touch. Mm-hmm. Peter didn't initially have to touch.
We're not talking about an initial power. We're talking about stolen powers. Yeah. Anytime we've ever seen someone steal a power, it's always worked, sounded, and looked the exact same way as the initial person. And this is the first time ever that we've seen it being a completely different effect, different rules, and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, maybe there's another rule we're missing somewhere that we haven't learned yet.
I doubt it.
It's possible.
It's possible.
They could explain it later.
I have like a 10% probability of that happening.
I like Tommy's power the way it is.
No, I've said it before. That's fine. It just doesn't match with the story they're telling, which I would prefer it match with the story they're telling.
All right.
If it was just a teleportation power and it wasn't Hero's power, it would be awesome. Yeah. But because it's supposed to be Hero's power, that doesn't jive with everything else we've seen in Hero so far.
I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful there's something we're missing that will explain it.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I don't absorb two powers at once or something. And
I would say I think
that up.
I was gonna say, like, I would say I think you'll be disappointed, but I don't think you will. I don't think you'll care.
All right, it's powers. All right, how about Tomater? Tominator. It's funny. See, it has 8-3, I think. Anyway, Q&A wonder what would happen if Nathan took Harris's power. Could his clones then steal powers whilst the original kept Harris's power? Also, how the hell does Erica convince all these people to be evil so easily, and then she convinced Parkman, the one guy who truly knows what everyone's thinking? Possible explanation being his painting power that he got back when he was in Africa with the turtle.
Yeah, that last part real quick. I mean, we remember that, right?
He went and talked to that one guy in Africa. And
so he can not only can see the future, he can read minds and all that stuff. So there's something about that. But the thing I love about this question is the Harris thing. If he took Harris's power,
do all the clones
would
have powers?
all of his clones thus have Nathan's original power? I don't know. I don't think so.
See, the biggest thing is, like, what if they did have the power still?
Yeah.
Right? And then whenever they touched and took another power, they just turned to dust.
Oh.
Because it still utilized the Harris power.
They wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
They wouldn't do that because when Harris was powerless, all of his clones had survived.
When was he powerless?
Whenever Phoebe was putting her dark energy over June 13th and he had all the bombs on him, he never turned to dust then. They were all viable humans at that point.
Okay.
They just didn't have their power. So if he took his power, split himself into 10 different Nathans or Tommies, could they go and, like, one of them goes and gets another power, one gets another, and
someone
another?
has Phoebe's power, someone has Melina's,
Yeah.
someone has Hero's.
Or would it be that because there is some kind of connection between the Harrises, like if he steals one, do they all get it? You know? If he steals another, they all get it. Or is it individual? Or if he took the power, would he... I don't know. That's a good question. I like it, though. I think that they would all individually be able to get powers.
That'd be neat, though.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of, like, Tommies that just have different powers and they're all just working together.
Because whenever he has somebody's power, he initially has two powers. He has his initial power of stealing things, and he has the borrowed power.
I still think...
So every clone would have two powers still.
Yeah.
And that would... And because we see that they can survive separately even without the presence of a power, it has to be.
So every time one of his guys get a power, he just cuts off another finger. You know, go get a new power.
Yeah.
Go get new powers.
And then they find out a way to assimilate them all, and he has all the powers.
He just turns into one guy?
Yeah, like a big blob of
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still hopeful that Tommy will eventually have a way that he's locked away these powers and can unlock them and use them all. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think if they did that, it might make Melina a little redundant because she seems to be the one that has not multiple powers, but like more versatile powers. That makes sense?
I don't think it would make her redundant.
I mean, she already feels a little redundant because I don't know anything about her or her character.
I don't think she feels redundant.
Like
I think she's just underused so far. You know what I mean?
I would say those are probably synonyms at that point.
Redundant would be like
she hasn't the only thing she's really done, like in terms of she hasn't really done much in terms of like character other than like her getting to know Luke right now. Everything else has been done for her except for whatever the hell she was doing in Mordor, fixing the sky, which we know she was trying to make the
Mordor,
trying to make the atmosphere healthy. You know, or
I
something.
guess, yeah. Prepare
trying
for the solar flare, maybe.
Trying to fix stuff because solar flare stuff's happening. I mean, I'm not, and I'm not diminishing the actress or what I like about the character. I mean, I would say underused, redundant, or
I mean, he just doesn't
even just empty. I kind of used the word empty last time. I felt like she's kind of empty. I hope that. I feel better now that we've got to know a little bit more with Luke.
Yeah.
I hope we get a lot more with Noah.
Yeah.
So I think they could really get me emotional to the Claire Melina dynamic. They kind of look the same.
Grandfather,
as her daughter.
I mean, to keep her like important, whatever. Tommy doesn't take her power away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think redundant would be the wrong word because it would be like saying like she's the exact same thing as something else.
It's the same thing like when Peter gets everybody's power in the first couple seasons of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he didn't have Matt Parkman's ability, Matt Parkman could defeat Peter every time. But because he has his ability, he can stop him from doing anything.
Yeah.
You know? It thus makes Parkman irrelevant to the point of, like, who's the most powerful. You know? And I feel like if you're considering them to be twins, they're supposed to be equal, they're supposed to be both important, they both have to be there, not just Tommy or Nathan, or Tommy and Nathan.
I don't think that she shouldn't be there.
I don't think so either. So I just think that, I understand why the writers have kind of done this.
Yeah.
But I don't love it. I personally think they just should have both had Peter's power.
Well, then she.
And then they could war.
Then she would be redundant, though.
Huh?
She would be redundant then. She'd be the exact same thing as Tommy.
No, because then they could have separate paths and then like fight each other.
Well, then you gotta have one evil and one good. I don't do that. I want them both to be good.
The evil twins is like the most classic of all tropes.
Yeah, I know. It's too classic, too tropey, too common. We need to get rid of that.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think I'm alone in saying that I feel like we need way more time with her.
No, we definitely do. We definitely need it. We need a whole episode about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to learn exactly what her powers do, but I still think that Tommy is going to have a way that he can unlock his powers. I mean, maybe not, because then people are going to be like, well, Peter was too powerful and whatnot, but you just don't, if you don't want him to have the Haitian's power, you don't have him go over and touch and take the Haitian's power. You don't take Melina's power.
I wanted it to happen too, guys. Of course I do. I just don't see it happening because they had to jump through so many hoops to get Peter to lose that ability, and everybody hated it, and they kept it like that. And then they start out and introduce this guy as this is what it's like.
This is Peter's.
There's no hope of it happening because this is that power.
This is Peter's power. And
I don't think they would do that and then be like, and now you guys get what you want.
If they're going to do that, then they just shouldn't be having him absorb their power then. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the part you shouldn't have. Because, like, if he gets Parkman's power, now Parkman doesn't have Parkman's power.
Yeah, because Peter would, like, go up and, like, hey, take it, like, thanks, and leave, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he'd go search for people to get their power.
And he needed his friends to be able to get more powers and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, well, 2 of us fighting with fire will be good, you know? Or whatever, so...
Like, you know, there was one moment where he, like, grabs Siler, and you have no idea what power he took, you know?
That's neat that he can kind of dive in.
And that was whenever they were fighting, and he ended up taking his morphing power, and he, like, stabs him, like, you think I'd take that one, huh? Or something like that. That was cool. Shit! I love heroes.
We have one more question here from CJ Davey. Says, it's obvious why Tommy/Nathan has a different sound effect than Hero.
Okay. Why?
Because we saw him using his powers from the first episode, and people would have guessed his connection to Hero if it had sounded exactly the same. Simple as that, really. Besides, whilst the power is the same, the person wielding it, so to speak, is different. So why can't it sound/look different too?
We kind of talked about this already, I guess.
I thought it was going to be like a really good reasoning.
Not a good reason.
It's just like people...
Because they'd figure it out.
People
Like, well, that's
know.
a bad reason. But then his second point is, I kind of addressed that earlier. His second point is like, well, it's a different character, so they're bringing it out a different way. And I even said that at one point. But then they came out and said, no, it was actually exactly Hero's power. He even trained him up to a point, and even then it still had that different thing. And you could say, well, it's a different person. It's like, well, when Peter took the power, which is the same exact ability, it was the same exact sound effect and everything.
I mean, it's kind of what I said before. I feel like maybe there's something else that we're missing that somehow altered the ability slightly or something like that. I don't know.
It just seems like that would be such a strange choice to make.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, maybe part of it, like you said, was with the writing and everything. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you.
Yeah.
I know that.
It really bothers me.
I know it does. It bothers you a lot, but honestly, I just like this version better than Hero's power. Like, I prefer this one. The fact that he can, like, just go like, you're gone. Instead of having me like, and then he lets go and he's back. I like him just being able to send stuff places.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't jive with... I just don't like things... I don't like when you have to retroactively fix things that you could have easily fixed with just either decent research or planning or...
I mean, how do you know they didn't do that and there's something we just don't know yet? Because also his...
I'm trying to think of... let's say like there is something like that. What could it possibly be, and would it make up for it?
His power is exactly like the power that they have at Renatus or whatever, or whatever it's called. Is it Renatus? Right?
Yeah. What about it?
His power is the same power they have that they're using.
Who, Tommy's?
Huh?
Tommy's?
Tommy's the same power that Renatus has. Because
Renatus
doesn't have to, like, send somebody to the future to deliver stuff and bring it back. They just kind of pop it to the future.
Yeah, but they specifically said that was Hero's power, right?
I think it was derived from Hero's power.
Yeah. But I mean, that's some kind of weird... I mean, unless you're saying that, like, the twins are some kind of weird hybrid of technology and powers, which I don't... We don't have any evidence of that.
Well, what about the Katana girl? She's some kind of weird digital information.
I said the twins.
Yeah, but what if... there could be links.
We're talking specifically about the Petrelli power of taking powers, which we've seen twice now.
We're also talking about the technology of Renatus being just like
but when it comes to this thing of why the powers look differently, we're talking about a Petrelli that can take powers. A thing that we've already seen twice in the other series, which never changes the sound or the effect. And in this one, it does. I'm trying to rack my brain for, one, a reason they would even do that, and two, what it could be that would cause that, and I'm coming up with nothing on
What
either
if
point.
Hero still somehow has his ability, and Tommy took some of his power, but not like all of it or something like that? You know, like what if Hero still has abilities, but it's just kind of like hidden away?
What if Hero's ability hasn't he taken? We've already seen him stop time, go back and
I don't mean it that way. I don't mean like, well, he only took the ability to teleport, but not the ability to time travel.
Okay.
I mean, what if he like took some of his power, but not so much that it's in the same way or something like that is. Like, if I have water and I have pop, and I take some of that pop and pour my water's not 100% pop now. You know, it's kind of clouded, but it's still darker. But if you have Tommy with no power, and then he takes Hero's power and he kind of puts it in there, he has a little bit of his power, but then Hero still has some of his. But it's still the same pop. It's just diluted.
I don't know if power necessarily has an amount.
Oh, I don't know either. It's a fucking TV show, Eric.
I mean, you're making a positive claim. You gotta come up with something.
What do you mean? It's a TV show. We don't have all the evidence yet of this whole season.
I think that it's a power that you can turn off and on. I mean, we've already seen Hero lose his power from a Petrelli and get it back with Baby Go now. You can just turn it back on.
Okay.
You know, the Haitian has to turn his power on and off. I don't think he can turn it half on, and Hero can only use the teleport.
Phoebe can only turn half on or half off.
What do you mean?
She can, like, make some shadows, but they don't take away powers. Or she can, like, spread a whole bunch of everywhere, and she doesn't.
Have we ever seen her make shadows that didn't take away powers?
Well, we haven't not seen her make shadows. We saw her make shadows, but there was no one to take power from. And she was also making shadows in the one thing before she took away all the powers when she got really mad.
So, an unfalsifiable
No, she was
statement.
She was using it, and there was no evidence of her not taking away powers. But in that one group of people, I'm pretty sure she was using her power. But then when she got mad, she took away all her powers. But she was still using it while people were floating and using fire and stuff, I think.
I mean, that was before she learned how to control, like, the shadows, though, right?
Oh, but so if she did do it, though, she was still using power. But then she wasn't using power, and then she got mad and she used it again, and it took away the power.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter if she knew how to control it then or not, she still would have used shadows, right? Without power?
I have no idea. I don't really remember that scene so much. I can't remember. She didn't have any effect at all. It was just her, like, taking lights away, and then it was her, and then she nullified, like, powers. But she did take away lights because lights, like, broke, right? And powers turned off at that point. She didn't necessarily create any shadows.
Well, she's also just, like, moved shadows. Would her moving her shadow mean that she disables everyone's power around her?
I don't know. There was nobody with a power there.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can.
I mean, it's also like
that.
When she did that at June 13th, she put shadows everywhere and covered everyone with shadows.
Yeah.
I feel like that takes away the power, but her just moving her shadow wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know how that works in conjunction, like when it comes to the differences of the power look in Heroes Reborn Dark Matters and Heroes Reborn. Every time we see her take away powers is when she has a fistful of black
She's like sending
smoke.
weird stuff out and stuff.
Yeah. We've never seen her do it without having power in her hand, right?
Well, I think every time she's taking power, she always has it kind of tendriling out.
Yeah, like she
It's not like Renee where she just like takes her power. But she's also done things with shadows when it's not as dark and ominous looking.
Have we ever seen her be somewhere where powers are used? Like does she have to turn it when?
At that meeting thing where she went all crazy and took away the fire.
Okay. Well, that was like when she was like developing her powers, though. I mean, you could say like, well, yeah, Peter could fly in the first episode of Heroes, but he couldn't do it until he figured out how to do it later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
Like, he did it like instinctively at one point, and then he did it without thinking he could do it. You know what I'm saying? But once he learned how to do it, he could just do it every time. But he had to physically make himself do it. He wasn't just always flying. You know, it's one of those things where it comes to like passive or offensive or defensive stuff.
Well, then wouldn't her power be there and it would just take away powers and she couldn't control it and people just couldn't use powers?
Wouldn't her what? What'd you say?
Wouldn't her being there mean people couldn't use powers then if she couldn't control it?
I don't know. We're going off on a huge tangent, but like, was she always able to heal and stuff like that?
I mean, as far as I know,
because most people didn't get their powers until like early adulthood or adulthood. Like Mac Parkman's like 30 years old and didn't start getting his until then.
Yeah.
You know, but we've seen kids with powers. We've seen, I mean, hell, Nathan or Tommy could do it when he was a fetus.
Yeah, he took Claire's power when he was born.
Like I thought there was a thing where like you have to like come into your power. You know,
it might just vary. And maybe it's different per bloodlines, too, you know?
I guess so.
Like, Petrellis are fairly strong in their powers, it seems. But also, like, Nathan didn't have any powers. His was synthetic. But then Peter, like, didn't know his until he was, like, in his 20s.
Yeah. If I had to just completely guess and cut this conversation short, I would say that she has to physically create Shadow for it to actually turn power off. Maybe the first time we saw her do it in Dark Matters. Which, to be fair, the main writers of the show might not be making canon. You know, sometimes they... Like when you have webisodes, they're like, it's a webisode, who cares?
What?
You know, you can have that kind of stuff because webisode deals are usually a lot different than actual television deals.
It'd be silly to be like, well, this is going to connect this and this, but it's not canon.
It absolutely would not be the first time it happened. In Heroes had webisodes back in the day about like an actual, like, I think it was like a carnival thing where they had like a fire guy before they even had the carnival thing in season 4, and I think they completely disregarded all that stuff about, like, is this the same carnival? Like, nah, we don't care about that stuff. That was just for the internet kids.
The internet kids?
You know? But, I mean, you could say that maybe Phoebe did create, like, a very, very small piece of black that we didn't see, you know? Whenever she did that in the first time, you know? And it just the immediate area went, you know?
Okay.
You could say that if you need to, like, for our own sake, say she has to create black smoke for that to happen.
Not gonna say it.
And you go through a lot of mental gymnastics, and then for that, you're like, nah. That's ridiculous.
No, I think that she can use shadows without taking away powers, but then she has to actually like focus out shadows to take away powers.
I don't know.
What was the question we had?
I don't know. Something about Oliver and Felicity.
What show are we talking about?
I don't know. We've been here for so long talking about nothing.
All right, guys. I think that's gonna be it for our Heroes Q&A. Make sure you guys watch tonight's episode of Heroes, and we will be back with our own reaction, review, analysis, discussion video on, apparently this is going to be the mid-season finale?
That's what I hear. You know, I love Heroes and I want to keep watching, but I won't mind a little tie break.
Yeah. I think a lot of the shows are going to be going on break soon, I think.
Yeah, and I'll be, we can focus on some other stuff. So make sure you guys are coming back for everything.
Yes. Speaking of which, make sure you guys are checking out blindwave.net for all of your Blindwave needs for reactions, let's plays, an empty shop right now, lots of other stuff that we're going to be having pop up on there, as well as on our YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, leave any comments down below, and then also make sure you guys check out our patreon.com/blindwave, where we've had a lot of awesome patrons or patriots or whatever they call them.
Patrons.
Patreon.com.
I'm hungry.
Make sure you guys check out that. All right, guys, we'll see you guys in our Heroes video here tomorrow-ish. All right, guys, until next time, I'm Aaron.
I'm Eric.
And we'll see you guys next video. Eric! Do the button.
I don't want to.
Eric, button.
Calvin!
Eric.
Button.
No!
Ah!